We are going to upload an image this time. So we've got everything set up. We just need to start tying things together between our app and our Xano APIs and backend. So currently, the only way the image stays there is if we reload it, because everything is local. I think last time I had picked one of the pictures of my dog, and that's what we got working last time. So what we're going to do this time is send this as a base64 encoded image back to our Xano backend. So let's start with some of the obvious pieces. Let's go to the data resources that we have defined. And we are going to add a new data resource, direct integration. This one will be called, let's go upload. If I can get my typing to go, upload image. And then upload a base64 encoded image is what it does. We're going to go grab our resource URL. We're in the upload image. We'll click on endpoint URL and we'll paste it there. We also need to have an HTTP header because we do work in an authenticated environment. Authorization. It's text. It's not static. We're not going to do the default value yet. You know what I guess we could do is our normal process of setting up this one would be a post that we want to do, a create record, and see if we can't get this thing called. That'll be a nice quick little test to see if we can do in AppGyver what we did in Xano. So we're going to turn this post on. There's no ID needed. Let's see what we have here. The authorization carries forward from the base URL where we set it up. We need to set up a schema. If you remember in Xano, the schema for a post needs to match the inputs expected. And we're setting a base64, which is just all text, as input. So we're going to the request schema. We're going to make a custom schema. We're going to add a property. We called it content. It's text. Okay. I'm going to save the schema and then come back to the create record post. What we can do, I think, is see what we have for, that's where our base64 will go. So I need to grab a couple of pieces of data to test this from Xano. One of the things that I need is to log in. So let's go back and do that real quick. To do that, I probably have to figure out what, we have a TA1. Let's try that one and see if we can't. We'll just use my standard one. We are going to go back to the APIs. We're going to go to login. We are going to do run and debug. And password for this app. We get our token. We're going to copy our token into the clipboard, and we are going to lead with static text. And if you remember, we need to put bearer space and then the token to match the HTTP standard. And then we're going to switch back over and grab our base64 image. So we've got, I'm going to do something other than lime green so that when we upload our test, we have something else to look at other than the one that's already there. That's a fun color. data. So we grab our full base64 encoded data URL, and we're going to put that in content. If we run this test, wow, there I was surprised. Probably not great to be surprised it worked. So we have successfully retrieved the data back, which means I'm going to set the schema. And there we've got the schema with all its image data. But most importantly, if we go back to Xano and to the database, the media table, there it is. So we now have an official base64 encoded uploaded image from AppGyver. So let's take it into the next steps and see if we can't get the image that we pick here to be uploaded so that it all happens through the mobile app. Let's see. There's a lot of changes we're gonna make post getting this to work, but I'm gonna stick with just a very straightforward way that we pick from the image library, we set up our path so we can see it, and then I'm going to base64 encoded. So we're gonna go back out to the marketplace and base64. So convert file to base64. We're going to install that. And we're going to pull that out onto our canvas after we've set our app variable. The convert wants to know the source file URL. And now that we know we have our app variable set, we can just use that. Okay, so coming out of the convert file to base64, we have most of what we need. Let's see, we've got two things we can do here. I think what we're going to do is, my hesitation, just to tell you what I'm thinking in my head, is I know that we have to put, let's go back here. I know that we have to put this data image PNG, that header that we talked about, on the front of the base64 encoding that we just did. So I think what we're going to do is we'll do that in the next step on the API call. I think I can do it there with a formula. That might be the simplest path right now so that we can concatenate that on to the string that is now this image that we select. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is go ahead and create a record. And we're going to take what was successfully created out of the convert base64. We're going to switch from the defaulted login to upload image. We are going to pick our, where am I going? Data variables, app variable, auth token. And I think if I remember correctly, we stuck the bearer on front of that, so I can just use the variable. And then I have a custom object. Let's go into the custom object. We know that we want to assign something to content. So we're going to set that variable in essence here, that parameter. And we're going to do it from our base64 node. And there's the string. So you know what I need to do there, because I was just talking about how to do this and then I did it differently. We're going right back into where we were. So let me back up here a sec. We're gonna make it a formula because I need to put the data header on it. So what I want to do is concatenate a string, and I'm gonna go back over here and see if I can't just pull a section of this out. No, it's gonna want all of it. Let's do a little bit of fixing this. I'm just using my web address entry field as an editor at the moment because I just want a quick way to get this header. Okay, I have just the header. So this is what needs to be put on the front so that Xano knows what we're sending it. And so I'm going to paste that right here. and then concatenate it to the base64 image coming out of the prior node. I'm going to save that. So at this point, I have specified the upload image API that we know works. I have specified the auth token so that we have security to make a change. And I have set the object, the content, to have the data URL header and the base64 encoded image. So I don't know, let's just live on the edge here and put a couple of quick dialogues, one for it working, one for it failing, and see what happens. So the title, it worked, and the title, it failed. Okay, I'm going to save that, and I think we're going to give it a try. So it looks like my token has expired, so we're going to do a couple of things here. I'm going to log back in. Hopefully I'm doing it right. Steve, justfairlabs.com. Do the password. Okay, so if I go to profile and I click on the image and I pick an image file, it's going to take a second, and the reason for that is that the base64 encoding takes a while, and the upload takes a while, because that is iPhone XR full image, and we're going to take care of that next, I think. Xano. AppGyver has a great compression flow function that will reduce the size of this image because it doesn't need to be as big as what it was. But that being said, some level of excitement, very potentially, because when we go back to Xano and refresh this, we have successfully uploaded an image. So from our mobile app all the way through base64 encoding over the internet, into Xano's API and into the database, and then they store it on AWS S3 behind the scenes. So you know what? I think that is a great way to end this video. In the next video, we will do some compression, and we'll probably also start making this screen a little bit more user-friendly. We need a spinner to show that some action is happening. We need to disable controls while it's uploading so somebody can't keep pressing on the image and re-uploading stuff. And I might even show you what I've done in my dance app, which has a little bit more complex and usable edit and cancel approach. So I hope this was helpful. The next one, we'll take it just a little bit further. Thanks again. See you next time.